President Trump is facing bipartisan outrage over a pair of tweets in which he insulted TV hosts Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough. The president referred to the host as Crazy Mika and Psycho Joe. He also claimed that Brzezinski was bleeding badly from a facelift when they met in Florida last winter. The two hosts say that was a lie. Here's how they responded to the uproar this morning.
I think it's been fascinating and frightening and really sad for our country. I mean, I've been getting a lot of texts and hearing you all talking. Thank you. I'm fine. My family brought me up really tough. This is absolutely nothing. But I think for me personally, but I am very concerned as to what this once again reveals about the President of the United States.
Unfortunately, we learned what we've always learned, and that is that he, for some reason, takes things so much more personally with women. He's so much more vicious with women. I never told the story, but a very well-known congressman who went over to the White House with 20 other members when the president was pitching House members to get through the House, said that he went on this rant about Morning Joe in front of 20 members of Congress while he was trying to pitch the health care bill, and went on and on and on and sort of just brushed me aside. He's a joke, he's a joke. But then this senior member that everybody knows, and we were on the phone, he said, I've never made a call like this. I've been in politics my whole life. He scared me because he was vicious when he turned from you to Mika. His face was red. He started talking about blood coming out of her ears, out of her eyes. And this congressman said, I've been in politics for decades. I've never seen anything like this. And he said, I don't even know why I'm calling you, but I was just scared. I was scared for you guys, and I wanted you to know. And for some reason, we've seen this time and time again with Mika. I will insult him over the Muslim ban or say that he's a racist. I'll say he's a racist with what he said about David Duke. All of these things through the year. And for some reason, he always goes after Mika.
Well, joining me now is Zeke Miller. He is a CBSN political contributor and a White House correspondent for Time. Thank you so much.
Good beer.
So, the last 24 hours, basically those two tweets, all that anyone's really talking about. Your reaction when you read them?
Not again.
Okay.
It's one of those. It's hard to be surprised anymore by President Donald Trump, his tweets. I mean, we saw this in the campaign. We've seen this before. I think what was so striking was not so much the president's tweets. It was just everyone around him in the White House having to rally behind him and to find some way to sort of, these tortured, I'm not defending him, but I'm defending these tweets.
Right.
We're going to punch back 10 times harder. This sort of things, even that these same people criticized back when President Trump was a candidate, they're now forced to defend.
Yeah, and you even heard from some of his, some Republican lawmakers, and some were very critical. But then there were others that were sort of more tempered, I think. The Speaker of the House was critical, but he sort of said, well, it doesn't help things.
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of, there's not much more they can do. They can put out those statements, it's inappropriate or whatever it is may be, and that's self-evident. But there's not, they still need to work with the president to get tax reform or health care or just keep the lights on in the government. So antagonizing him doesn't go anywhere. He's in there for 4 years. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Zeke. So the president also tweeted today about the show. I think he said he watched the show for the first time because he really doesn't watch the show, according to his tweets. This morning, he was reacting to a charge from Joe Scarborough that the president essentially tried to blackmail him over a story the National Enquirer was planning to run. Still tweeting about the show. What do you make of this? I mean,
there are all sorts of, there's a potential legal question there that will have to be answered by a bunch of lawyers, whether or not the president using official acts to carry something like that out. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure some lawyer, there's a special counsel already investigating the president on obstruction of justice charges.
Right.
It starts looking like there's potentially a pattern emerging in the way the president likes to communicate with people. But at the same time, Joe Scarborough was saying that there's evidence of this. Be one of those things. Please bring it forward in the public light. Who was it? Who made this communication, this alleged threat from the White House? So a lot of questions, but certainly we're still talking about this. We're not talking about healthcare. We're not talking about anything else.
We're not putting it to bed. It should be sort of done, right? Instead, it continues. And you talked about the people around him contorting themselves to sort of defend this behavior. Kellyanne Conway was on this morning. She was also defending the president. Let's listen to what she had to say.
was asking you about is whether you endorse the president's comments, the president's attacks, and apparently you do.
No, I didn't say I endorse his attacks. I never said that, George. What I said was I endorse his ability to fight back when he is attacked.
Bottom line, you do not endorse the president's tweets?
Bottom line, I endorse his ability to connect on social media with Americans, and I endorse, as the First Lady has said, him firing back when he's being mercilessly attacked. The good I hope comes out of this is that we change the conversation, that respect for the office of the president and its current occupant are intact, and that we have a full conversation about policy. Let people disagree on policy and stop the personal invective. It's completely toxic, and it's completely counterproductive to connecting America with policy prescriptions that they need.
So, Zeke, we should be talking about policy. It's true.
Yes.
But we can't, can we?
No, we can't. And if the whole notion, if the reason why the president sent this tweet is to sort of elevate, somehow bring back the elevation to the office and the respect for the office of the President of the United States, that is certainly not the result. I mean, if Kellyanne Conway is to be taken at face value there, then the president's strategy failed.
Right.
That was not the president's strategy. Evidently, he wants to either not talk about policy, wants to continue rallying his base by attacking the media and Democrats, and that's worked for him for years. And it's a tried and true playbook for him. He has this loyal cadre of supporters who will not abandon him no matter how sort of explosive things get. Mm-hmm. And that's a valuable political asset that he has. Mm-hmm. But Republicans are having difficulty with health care. The controversial travel ban is now being put into effect. There's foreign policy challenges going on this week. He could be talking about, this is Energy Week at the White House. This is Jobs Month at the White House, the last day of both. Why isn't he out talking about it and making that his single message? If he has a problem with what Joe Scarborough is saying, put out a statement from a spokesperson that he pays to do that. The fact that he feels that he has to put himself in that story means that he wants it to be the story.
Right, and the idea of having these themed weeks was to encourage us to talk about specific things, and then we sort of keep deviating. But he did tweet about healthcare today.
Yes.
So here's the tweet. If Republican senators are unable to pass what they are working on now, they should immediately repeal and then replace at a later date. It sounds to me like the president is suggesting it's okay to leave an awful lot of people high and dry without insurance.
Certainly. I mean, that could be one of the mechanisms of doing that. But also, that's the same thing Republicans thought about doing 6 months ago and shelved, in part because of conservative members who wanted, and moderates, depending on, it came really from all sides. They couldn't just get the repeal done. They needed certainty for the insurance markets. But there was this notion of a repeal and delay, where repeal would take effect in 3 years out. Then there's concerns that maybe that would impact an election, or that 3 years out there would be some sort of consensus way to bring Democrats on board. The thing is, that ship has sailed. They cannot do that now. They've burned too many bridges with too many lawmakers. The public pressure, the public scrutiny is already way too high. Mm-hmm. If this thing goes down, if they can't get consensus in the Senate, it's probably, Obamacare is probably here to stay in most forms.
Right. Zeke Miller, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.